Hey there guys, this is Sam here. This week and next week there isn't going to be a new SMEFC episode, unfortunately, because I'll be on vacation back in England anyway, so that way I can recuperate and we can think of more ideas of future episodes on our own sense. But at least this week and next week there's going to be a new top 5 video anyway. Next week we'll have Alex for sure. He's already got an idea that I'm sure will go down fine. But this week I wanted to do a list that was simple and I'm really passionate about, but very brief. I wanted to talk about the top 5 franchises that I'll always go back to no matter what. This can be like video games or movies or TV shows, anything like that. I don't normally dig deep into that many things nowadays. Like, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, so I can't dig deep into the lore or any kind of big TV shows going on right now, like The Walking Dead. Just either I don't have the time or there's just nothing in there that catches my interest. But there are a select few that will catch my interest. I'm always going to loan to the end of my days. But these are the 5 that I feel do hold that special place in my heart. Each one of these selections can pretty much be made into their own video, be more depth in detail on my part. But since this is a quick video, I'm just gonna scurry through them real quick, so here we go. Number 5. Muse. Now, for those of you who don't know, but I'll be pretty surprised if you don't, this is a British rock band, more on the alternative sides, but what keeps them really interesting is that they're always finding new ways to portray their sound and maybe even their lyrics too. Not just in like entire albums, because at this point they released 7. But even back when they only had like 4 albums back in like 2006, 2007, they had numerous ways to portray each and every one of those songs, so that way each one was like their own event, and you didn't necessarily need like an entire album to make them a part of it, if that makes more sense. But that's how much I love it, whether it be like a main song from like a main album or even the B-sides. I feel like Muse, in terms of their songs, their B-sides are just as good, if not better, than what they would release in an actual album that would be just sold to the general public. And I don't know what else to explain them without going more into detail, but they range, like I said, alternative, but they can also go into heavy metal, to classical, to jazz, to R&B. Just a little bit of any kind of genre that you can think of, but they never lose sight of the band that they truly are. There's still the heavy bass that takes up not a majority, but it is noticeable in most of their songs, and that's kind of a staple in there. And then you have the lead singer, Matt Bellamy, who is more known for going into falsetto or going into high pitch, but no matter what he sings, there's just a sense that whether he's singing seriously or going over the top, you do feel that passion in there. At least that's what I think. But the fact that like Muse is a band where, for the fans, whether it's either you love Muse or you really love Muse, I don't think at least I haven't met a person that, you know, hates Muse with a passion, which I'm sure there are, because the whole that's a topic for another video. But I have a case. I fell in love with Absolution. That's their 3rd album. I think that's still like my favorite album for them, and it's certainly going to be in my top 10 rock albums for sure. But there's not much enough to say without me going into much detail, but I feel like each song in each album, no matter which one, main, live, B-side, whatever, there's always going to be a character in each song and in each album, so if you haven't checked them out, please do. But the fact that it's on this list, it holds a very special place in my heart, and it will continue to do so. Number 4. My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Not 20 years ago, even when I was even younger did I think that I would get into My Little Pony. I didn't even get into Transformers or anything like that. I had my own things, mainly British stuff, but the fact that this new generation My Little Pony caught my interest with its, I don't want to say unique characters, but they're certainly likable, and the stories that come with it, and its unique art style, that just drew me in even more. And even if you say for the main show that right now it might be getting a little stale, they might be running out of new ideas, you always, first of all, you always tune in to see the show anyway, because they, at this point, they haven't spread a message that's insulting to the kids or anything like that. They always get straight down to the moral, whatever they want to teach. Nothing stupid like that they would do in the 80s, early 90s. It's always relatable. It's always going to be something that's simple, but yet it goes a long way. But I think the other thing is that the one thing that is stronger than the show itself is the fan base. Even right now, there are still people that are really creative, whether it be using characters from the show or creating their own characters and using their own kinds of stories, whether they be original or based on other material that's not My Little Pony. So the creativeness is still there, and it's hard to believe that, you know, the male demographic would get into something girly like My Little Pony. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It just, before Friendship is Magic, it wouldn't be well known, but now that's a thing. I myself, I'm not ashamed to say that, I wouldn't be wearing the brony shirt if that wasn't the case, but yeah, even going to its 7th season, there's a new movie coming out and still going on the lines of the Equestria Girl stuff. I'm still going to be intrigued by whatever they do next, so, love me some Fluttershy. Number 3. Doctor Who, the new series. I'm gonna be honest, something about the old series doesn't take me in the way that it would do with older fans. Yes, I can respect that some of the actors that portray the Doctor, like Tom Baker and such like that, they do phenomenal. And like, this is, if it wasn't for that show, the Daleks, the Cybermen, just all those classic monsters, without them, we wouldn't have the show that's going on right now, the new series that is slowly approaching its 10th season. But it is the new series that slowly caught my interest, to be honest. Even then, with the first series with Christopher Eccleston, it didn't really caught me right away. But it was definitely the first season finale that I thought I'd watch might as well, just to see what all the fuss is about. And then we get introduced to David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. That caught my interest, probably not immediately, but there was just something about him that I had to see him through. I had to, you know, see more of this character, this actor, because David Tennant is one of my favorite actors in general. But again, that's a topic for another video. But suffice to say, I think it was the middle of season 3, maybe not season 4, but nearly before David Tennant had to go say goodbye to the Doctor, I was officially tuned in. I got all the DVDs just to catch up rather, and then from that point on, I would go in and out. Like with Matt Smith, even though I do really like him, not as much as David Tennant, but I still love that actor regardless, and it sort of just naturally went from there. Like, every new season that came on, I had to watch the episode, whether it be from the main series or the Christmas specials. I'm not an avid fan of the Doctor Who stuff. I mean, I don't collect the books, I don't read the fan fiction, but I will always watch the show with a fiery passion. Even if the Daleks are getting redundant at this point, even if they say, oh, they're scary or no, oh, but I like to think that there's always something creative as time goes on with a new season, and there's always gonna be something funny with the Doctor, something that really pulls you in, and something heartbreaking as well. And the music as well. Gotta say, no matter what track is played during a scene, it always nails it, but I feel like when it gets to the really sad stuff, it just nails it. Some of my favorite tracks of all time, instrumentally rather, it comes from Doctor Who. So who knows when the show is going to end, if it runs as long as the original series, but for now, I just really can't get enough of it. Can't wait for season 10, and if you haven't seen the new Doctor Who series yet, you're missing out. Number 2. The PlayStation. Just the PlayStation in general. In 2017, in August, that will be officially my 20th anniversary into the PlayStation. I already know for the past few years, Sony themselves and people who love the PlayStation themselves have been like, yeah, it's the 20th anniversary, it's going to be special. Oh look, they're going to get new remakes, remasters of games and such like that. That's all well and good. That just shows that people do care for this product, even though it has its flaws, especially with the PlayStation Network, but it's still going on regardless with its 4th edition. Is there something about... Okay, the first PlayStation always holds a special place in my heart. I know almost all the games through demos, getting weird random titles as a kid that wouldn't be more mainstream, but that caught my interest anyway. If you were to ask me anything about the PlayStation in general, I would probably give back something 5 times more that's, unique, rare. I feel like they're a gem in their own right, and people are like, what are you talking about? PlayStation 2 kind of came into that same category, even though it relied more on franchises and sequels from past generations of consoles than it did original titles, but whatever, they still managed to get good games out of it. Honestly, the PlayStation 3 is the weakest link out of all of it, even though it did introduce, online features and the fact that you could put your Blu-ray in there and just all the stuff that, was unique at the time, and if you didn't have a PlayStation 3, then, you're kind of missing out on the graphics that were splendid at the time. But I only had a few games to, that really caught my interest anyway, and really I would just have the PlayStation 3 to play classic PS1 or watch DVDs, so it wasn't really more of a game console, but really more of a means to end to satisfy my nostalgia or watch a movie or whatever. Strangely enough, the PS4, it took me a while, even though we did get it last Christmas. I think it's starting to recapture what the PS1 did nearly 20 years ago, and it's not because of all these remasters that are going to be released, like with Parappa the Rapper or Crash Bandicoot. Games like Bloodborne, for example, that's already a classic in my opinion. Just, it brought me back to that place where I started off 20 years ago with the first game I ever played for that system, the very first Rayman. So it just goes to show how far I've come, with my interest in video games, and how fantastic, these new game consoles can look, especially for the PlayStation. And the fact that, for whatever reason, it's pulled me in because of its uniqueness. There's something about it. More titles I feel like are coming out for the PlayStation 4 that, that were in the same vein as the first PlayStation. It's bringing out its own original ideas, even though some of the games are, multi-console. There's a few that's going to be on the Xbox as well. But I'm seeing more titles on the PS4 that are exclusive, and for whatever reason, they have their own uniqueness, and they just bring you to a whole other world, and that's something I did not expect from that particular console. But you know what? I'm still glad I'm back with it, really back into it after all these years. I pretty much play any kind of PlayStation console nearly on a daily basis anyway, so it's always going to be a part of my life no matter what. But PlayStation 4, wow. Go Team Sony. And the number one franchise that I'll always come back to is One Piece. Yeah, no big surprise there. Even with the crappy 4Kids dub that aired in the course of 2 years, just cutting stuff out, editing stuff, just all the stuff that would anger really dedicated One Piece fans at the time, and even though there were a few, that still caught my interest. And I stuck through the 4Kids dub for a little bit, despite the fact that I knew these edits, were not the original thing. but then through the power of YouTube, I managed to watch some of the subbed episodes, and from that kind of led me to playing some of the video games, and with that there came the Funimation dub, and the Funimation dub I just had to get more of the manga volumes because they started to sell those back in the UK, and just eventually the One Piece world has expanded. Like, the story is continuing to grow even. The characters are still likable, and every single one, hero, villain, side character, just one time, no matter what character, there's always going to be a point where they're not just, you know, a joke or just have no character. There's always going to be something about at least one character where you find out a little more about them. They have a trait that's extremely likable, and the fact that it's still continued to do that after, wow, 20 years for the manga, and it's still got 10 more years to go, so I'm always going to be catching up with the latest manga. I still watch the anime from time to time, even with the fact that it's still going through Dragon Ball Z syndrome for sure at this point, but it still doesn't matter. It's still the characters that I really, really love. And over the past couple of years at least, it's become more obvious that One Piece is everywhere, and I mean everywhere. There was a point 10 years ago where, you know, a select few people knew about it, and it was our thing to call our own, and it was great. And now it's everywhere. It's like it's in commercials, Japanese-wise. You probably couldn't turn around without seeing something with a Luffy face or Chopper on there. It's everywhere, and more people are starting to get notice of it here in America, and probably in the UK too, and the whole world. In fact, it's more around. And I guess with that said, is it like over-plagiarized? Is it overhyped? Are people talking about it much more than they should compared to like other animes? Yeah, probably. But there's the thing, like 10 years ago people wouldn't stop talking about Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, and One Piece was sort of like in the sidelines even though it had more unique story and characters. And now One Piece, right now in 2016, it has some of the top selling, not like volumes, continues to break records, and so much more potential is gonna come out of it. Like, I don't know what else to say about it without going into more detail, but trust me when I say, like, DBZ comes close because I go back to it every so often, but One Piece I always think about every day. It's always in the back of my head, thinking about past events and thinking, oh, what's gonna come in the future of the story. We've got 10 more years to figure that out, so, you're alright, Monkey D. Luffy. I've got no problems with you. But yeah, I guess with that said, this ends my top 5 video for the franchise stuff, so I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling and my simpleness this time. Don't worry, next week, hopefully, we should be going back to, like, sort of the formula that we did with the very first top 5 video, and with Alex, it should be a little more fun. So, yeah, hope you guys look forward to that, and please, well, obviously I hope you've had a great holiday with Christmas and Hanukkah and such, but just have a safe and happy transition into the new year, into 2017, because we need that, and I hope you guys just do what you will to be happy. So take care.